Spoilers for What If Season 1. There's a moment in the finale after Doctor Strange Supreme and the Watcher have assembled the Guardians of the Multiverse that feels like the perfect example of my biggest problem with What If. And like I always say, this series did a lot of things right. I'm not trying to hate on it, and sometimes my criticism comes off as nitpicky, but that's not my intention. There needs to be something between the Infinity Stones actually shouldn't be able to work outside of their own universes, and bright lights, pretty colors, right? Like, we're all somewhere between those two extremes. None of us want to be CinemaSins. But okay, so there's a moment in the finale of What If where Killmonger is fiddling with the Ultron head that Thor brought from his universe. Gamora and Thor are standing apart from the rest of the group, and Gamora asks Thor, "Do you trust him?" And Thor replies, "I trust everybody." And then they have a toast, and then 15 minutes of fighting, the end. Now, after watching that scene a second and third time, I had a question. Why Thor and Gamora? Out of any two characters to have that exchange, why those two? They don't know each other, or even seem to know of each other before this moment? More importantly, neither knows Killmonger. And the likely answer is that we needed to draw attention to the fact that Killmonger's planning to double-cross the group, that's it. And that's kind of lame. We had moments like that in Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy. Small conversations that set the stage for a plot development down the line. But that was never all they were. They were also moments used to build relationships and learn new things about our characters. In Avengers, Tony antagonizes Banner. Steve and Tony argue. Natasha tests Loki. These moments are why we love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is not the explosions or the sky beams, tons of movies have those. It's the moments in between the explosions, where we become invested in the characters at the heart of these stories. Avengers 1 really is the high watermark for how well these moments can build character. So much exposition is being thrown out during fights, and so many Chekhov's guns are being loaded, but every single moment also reveals something new about characters. Friendships are formed, tension is being developed, tension that will create challenges in the future. And most importantly, all of those interactions are conversations that those characters, and only those characters, can have. Steve and Tony need to spar because of how Tony feels inadequate next to Steve, because of how Tony's father and Steve worked together in the past, and Tony never felt like he measured up to Steve. And then Steve not taking Tony seriously because he doesn't believe Tony is a serious guy who's going to make the sacrifice when he needs to. Bruce and Natasha need to challenge one another because we need to see Natasha's expertise at manipulation, and Bruce needs to show us that even when he's across the table from a super spy playing mind games, he can keep his cool. This is the heart and soul of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the secret sauce. It is 100% why these movies and TV shows work, and without it, the carriage turns back into a pumpkin. These movies stop being special. In an interview for Empire, Black Widow director Kate Shortland said that Kevin Feige fought to keep the dinner scene in Black Widow. She says, quote, "He doesn't give you many directives, he's very free, but that was a scene he really felt needed to be in the film. And Scarlett and I kept fighting him on it, saying, how will this ever work? But it became a very alive thing. You've got this bunch of people shipwrecked together who are still desperately trying to cling on to roles that they had in Ohio because that's all they know, that's all they have, and it's beautiful for me. So even when it isn't working, Kevin Feige knows that the dinner scene where characters sit around and argue cannot be cut. The Marvel movie does not work without it." So let's go back to that moment between Thor and Gamora when they all become suspicious of Killmonger. Where is the character moment there? It's missing. But it does not need to be. After all, we have a character in this group who would be a much more interesting part of that conversation, T'Challa. After all, he's Eric's cousin, although he probably does not know that yet. In fact, he should be very suspicious of Killmonger. Killmonger seems to be the leader of Wakanda, but T'Challa's never heard of him. And then on the other side, T'Challa has, among his crew, the Mad Titan and father that Gamora apparently slayed. Does T'Challa know about Gamora? Was she ever part of Thanos' family? Nebula was, so why wouldn't Gamora be? We never find out what happened to Gamora in T'Challa's universe. In fact, does this Gamora know that T'Challa has been working with Thanos? Sure, he's reformed, but that should still set off some red flags, create some tension among our group members. I redid the conversation a little bit. Imagine this version. Do you trust him? I'm not sure. He says he's Wakanda's protector, but on my world, I've never heard of him, and he seems like he's hiding something. I think we may be related. All the more reason to keep a close eye on him. Family makes things complicated, I'm sure, but they're not above saving. You know, on my world, your father and I were friends. He was stubborn, yes, but he eventually did a lot of good for the universe. You allied with Thanos? That monster who tortured my sister and I? On my world, you forgave him. On my world, I killed him with this blade. Thanos was a murderer, and if he got his way, the galaxy would have been destroyed. Only a fool would join him willingly. Hey now, hold on. I understand your concern, but you understand nothing. Either you are too naive to be trusted, or you are here to do Thanos' bidding. Steal the stones for yourself. I knew it. Hold on. Thanos. The Thanos. You work for him? Not for him, and he's different. I, for one, think Star-Lord is telling the truth. People can change. Besides, why would he tell us about this Thanos if he knew it would upset you? He's trying to confuse us. Hope we turn on each other. He wants us to fail so he can get the stones for himself. No, if I wanted the stones, I would have them in my universe. Besides, why should we trust you? You haven't even told us who you are. Isn't it obvious? I'm family, cousin. I don't have a cousin. Pops didn't tell you. He was embarrassed because he killed my dad. Looks like deception runs in the family. Killmonger goes for T'Challa. Peggy blocks him. Let's all keep calm. We have a job to do. Well, we should sort this out before we kill Ultron just to wind up with a new genocidal warlord. Let me peer into your mind, find your true intentions. The Watcher would not have picked us if he didn't think we could be trusted. We should be working together to stop Ultron. I can defeat him by myself. If anything, you'll all hold me back. Now, hang on. I say we take out the little Panther Cup right now. I'd like to see you try. Come on, everyone. This isn't what the Watcher wanted. He stood by while my universe was destroyed. Said he couldn't interfere. Maybe this is a trick. Enough! Listen, I have a date tonight with a very nice scientist. And unless any of you can make those purple crackly portals, my only way home goes through that weird bald guy. I understand you don't trust each other, and you fear that we will lose. And that fear is tearing you apart. But where I come from, there is a saying. You're down and out. All you need is a strong heart and nerves of steel. Viva Las Vegas. And then Ultron appears, and the fight continues, as it does in the show. That's all you need. One exchange that brings the internal tension to the forefront of the conflict. I mean, if you are not going to have Gamora and Star-Lord talk about Thanos or Nebula, what's the point? They could just be any 7 random characters brought together by the Watcher. And the great thing is, this tension is not manufactured. There aren't misunderstandings. The universes that these characters are from inform how they act with characters from other, different universes. That is the natural difficulty with bringing characters from different universes together, and characters like Gamora and Killmonger are right to be distrustful of strangers, especially strangers who work with their enemies on their homeworld. Like this Killmonger killed his T'Challa, and that never comes up in this story. Widow and Thor were both Avengers, and she never even mentions how happy she is to see him. Killmonger has never been to space or met an alien before, right? He should be a little interested in that, so let's have fun with it. You need these moments because at the end of the day, we know the MCU doesn't end here. The Guardians are going to kill Ultron and save the multiverse. And since this is a team-up story, a big part of the tension comes from whether they can learn to work together as a team. The problem with What If's finale is that they are already a team. They already work well together and trust one another, so the final fight, at least for me, felt hollow. One shot from Avengers that works incredibly well is the long take where everyone fights together. It's the whole movie. Everyone is finally becoming a team. And I think it's telling that this episode has a shot like that. After it focuses on the characters, the camera shifts focus to the plot device, the Soul Stone. This show understands the mechanics of a fight like this, but it's lacking what makes the fight interesting. The element that takes them from being a group of random strangers to a team. And I've read interviews that say that What If episodes needed to be cut down due to pandemic issues, which makes sense. This is not the first episode to feel like it's missing something. Killmonger and the zombie episode both end at a point in the story where you'd expect another 10-15 minutes or so. And I mean, an entire episode, Tony on Sakaar, was delayed because of the pandemic, so who knows what this would look like in a pre-pandemic world. Bottom line, I don't think there really needs to be a difference between a story that focuses on plot and a story that focuses on characters. Characters move plot forward, the plot forces our characters to make decisions, reducing it to one or another misses the point. They're two sides of the same coin. However, if you do not spend enough time on character moments, the plot suffers. It's a shame. What If did a lot of things right, but when it came time to cross over the characters, it forgot why putting them in a room together is interesting in the first place. And before we go, I don't want to nitpick. I saved that for my podcast, mostly nitpicking, but there were some things in episode 9 that just, really bugged me. There's the stone is in the middle of the thing, and he's running. Why? Fly, teleport, just pull the stone over, dude. And if you want to hear me nitpick episode 9, you should definitely sign up for this video sponsor, CuriosityStream, because they have a bundle deal with Nebula where you get both services for $15 for the entire year if you go to curiositystream.com/NandoVMovies. Nebula is a creator-owned streaming service that has all my videos ad-free, no sponsor reads, and a lot of them, including this one on Nebula, have bonus content. This video on Nebula has like a 12-minute long nitpicking segment where I just go through some of the things about episode 9 that just did not make sense to me. Like, he's like, oh, Loki put you up to this is just a trick, and he opens the door, and it is a trick, and he's like, okay, I guess this couldn't be Loki, it's probably Loki then, or it's just something else, but I don't know why we're trusting this guy. And CuriosityStream is an awesome documentary streaming service that has documentaries about squirrels and swords and explosions, like The Demolition Man, where they walk you through how bridges and other large structures get demolished, and it is very interesting. So sign up for CuriosityStream and Nebula right now. Go to curiositystream.com/NandoVMovies. I'm shortening the end bit here, so I wanted to just run through real quick. Thank you to the patrons. You guys are awesome. I love you. Thank you to all of the people who subscribe to my podcast, mostly nitpicking, and enjoy that. And everyone subscribes to me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. I'm NandoVMovies on all of those platforms. That is all I've got. I'll see you next time.